Good morning and welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show, the only show about chronic pain where you can call in live. I'm your host, Josephofborg. I'm here every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Time. I look forward to talking to you. All right, good morning. Got my mic on. I just got a call as I was getting ready to start this morning, so I just needed to ask them to call back in a couple minutes. I'll have to edit this down. Sorry for the rough start. Today we are going to discuss put up there, gratitude and forgiveness and the power of them. I'm thrilled that I got a call this morning. I thank the caller for calling in. I'll have you call back in just a couple minutes. I just wanted to come on this morning and discuss these couple of topics because I think they're really important. I know they've made a big difference in the quality of my life and the way I deal with my chronic illness. I know I'm going to piss some people off. We can start with that right off the bat. I'm aware some people are going to be mad. I know this is a hot topic right now with a lot of people losing their pain management medications. With the opiate witch hunt, as I call it, a lot of people are being told that they can just change their mind or somehow it's just going to change their whole being. It's going to fix their problem. I'm not saying that. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt trying to tell you that if you can just change your mindset, your pain's going to go away. That's not what I'm talking about. But how your quality of life, how you cope with things, it is all colored by your attitude. And I just really want to talk about what has worked for me. I guess you could say it's my testimony about my chronic pain management and how my these attitudes and practices have helped me. If the caller's out there, I'm going to take just a minute to sip my coffee. If you want to call back in, I really want to hear what you had to say. I'm sorry I had to let you go so I could get the computer fired up. So again, caller, if you're out there, feel free to call back and I'll interrupt what I'm talking about to take your call since that's kind of the point of the show. Really having an attitude of gratitude for me, it's a practice that I had been in or at least tried to live as one of my beliefs and practices because, well, in part because of my faith. I happen to be a Christian. I don't think you have to be a Christian. I actually don't believe you have to have any particular faith to practice gratitude, but I do think it helps, to be honest. I think it's a habit that you can get in, and I'll cover that a little bit further along. But it colors your perspective, and your perspective colors everything else that goes on in your life. Again, I'm not saying that your pain's going to go away. I'm not saying that your body's going to miraculously heal itself because you change your attitude and the way you think about things. However, I believe sincerely from my own experience, it can improve your life and it can improve your daily condition. It's kind of like posture. I was reading an article this morning that talked about it being a lot like posture. If you walk more upright and you can improve your posture, people will perceive you different. Things will, your body will work better. If you're constantly slumping and whatnot, which is one of the things I'm often guilty of, it doesn't help your overall health, and it can color and change so many other things about your life. So I'm going to jump into it. I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. If you don't know who he is, Google him. He produces a ton of content, and one of the things he talks about all the time is gratitude. And he takes things from a different perspective often. He sometimes has a real extreme and off the wall, out of the box, if you will, methods of doing things. He talks about going through a mental discipline every morning to help put everything in perspective for him, where he imagines something terrible has happened to his family and his loved one. He says he doesn't dwell on it for a long time, but he thinks about it because compared to losing his family or someone he loves or whatnot, everything else seems like relatively small potatoes. I really think that may be an extreme example. That may not be the example that's best for you, but I do think it can help set your perspective. And I'm going to have some practical tips. I've got a bunch of notes. There's so much I want to cover on this that I really hope I can sit long enough to get through all of it. Um, One of the things he talks about is, hey, first of all, if you have difficulty finding things to be grateful for or have gratitude about, um, you need to spend some time to find a few things. I understand. I've been keeping it real. I've been in that place where you hope you don't wake up tomorrow. I have. I believe that we all have a purpose. Um, I used to play video games where you run around and you look for. Oh, I got a call coming in. We'll be back on topic in just a minute. Good morning. You're live on the air. This is Joseph of Borg.
Hi.
Hi. What can I do for you this morning, and who am I talking to?
My name is Mary.
Hi, Mary. How are you this morning?
I had my
Okay.
what? I had an epidural. From the back and the human. My husband.
Okay. And you said I'm sorry, your first name is Mary?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I guess I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, obviously, if there's any doubt looking at me. Um, I don't know that I can offer a lot of medical advice. I think I can point you in the right direction to find some help, and that would be uh,
Okay.
um, from people who have been through similar things. Let me ask you, do you belong to the Facebook page or group called Spinal Cord Stimulator Success Stories?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do belong to that.
Okay, and I thought you might have because your story sounded really familiar. Um,
Okay.
I don't haven't been through that, so I can't really address it intelligently. I mean I feel for you, and I wish I had a simple answer for you. But realistically, and in all honesty, I would suggest that you make a post about this in the group because we've got people who
Okay.
have been through this and
Okay.
complications, and even complications. We had one gal who had a hematoma who ended up paralyzed and was going through some really
Oh dear.
extensive rehab. And I guess I'm glad you're not having that kind of a reaction, but I am
Right.
not capable because I don't have the medical training and I haven't been through it myself. All I can do is give you lip service. I really think people who have been through that exact situation are going to have some suggestions for you. Yeah, I don't mean to blow you off, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to call. And believe me, I wish I had more information or a better answer for you. But I've got to be honest.
Sometimes all in.
Well, it depends. I'm a one-man show. I'm Josephofborg. I'm the guy who runs that Facebook page and group. And I started doing the call-in show because I know a lot of people feel isolated and they don't feel heard. Just some place where people with chronic pain could call in and we could try and hear about each other's stories and network and share information. So that's really all this is. It well, not right now because I just have one phone line that just comes into me. But there's other people who are watching right now. There's 3 live viewers, and people will see it in replay. Most people see my videos when they watch them at a later time. They don't necessarily log in and watch them live, so they'll be able to comment on.
How do you watch your videos?
Just go to the page. Yeah, just go to the page, the Facebook page called the Chronic Pain Call-In Show, and you.
Wait, I don't. Can you hold on? I have to.
Sure, I've got time. The Chronic Call-In Show, and you search for that Facebook. Yep, Chronic Pain Call-In Show. Yep, no problem. Actually, it's the Chronic Pain Call-In Show. Correct. And that's where I'm doing my live stream right now. So we're literally on there live. And then people will watch it and they can make comments. And there's probably some viewers that will be able to comment to your topic.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's how it works. You can just swing by there on Facebook, and I'll be on live this morning. I am literally right now. Every Sunday, I do it every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time because I'm in Las Vegas. My name's Joe, but I go by the name Josephofborg because I have the implant. So that's when I started using that as my name. Josephofborg, B-O-R-G.
B-O-R-G.
It's short for like cyborg because I've got a computer in my back.
Okay, so you have one.
Yeah, I got my stimulator in 2013. I got to be honest, I'm pretty much the poster boy for spinal cord stimulator success, and that's one of the reasons I stuck around on the internet is because so many people, when I was researching the devices, I couldn't find much information because I believe most people who have success aren't on the internet posting about it. They go back to having a life. So I told myself if I was a success story, I was going to stick around and tell my story and try and do what I could to try and help people because it's a very unique process. It's not like most surgeries where if you go in and get a fusion, I've had a cervical fusion. You go in, they operate, you go home and heal, and what you get is what you got. And spinal cord stimulators really don't work that way. So that's what motivated me to try and share my experience on the web.
Okay. Okay.
Mine worked right on the table. I was one of the lucky ones. I broke into happy tears the first time they even turned on my trial. Yeah. And you said you got it put in when?
November 11th.
November. Okay, so you're
And it
just
was,
you're just a couple weeks out then.
yeah, it was,
Okay. So yeah, you're really just getting started. You're not even done healing from the process, and especially with the complications you've had.
yeah, so let me know.
Right. Um,
What
the
else did,
I was pretty lucky. I had percutaneous leads, and I didn't find the surgery extremely painful. Some people do. With any surgery, it varies a bit. Um, I know one of the big things that was a help for me the first few days was anti-inflammatories. I used some NSAIDs. And of course, you're going to want to, you might want to check with your doctor. I don't know if you have a history of problems with any kind of anti-inflammatories or anything like that. But,
oh, and I,
like,
ibuprofen?
like Advil, ibuprofen. I can't think of the other names off the top of my head, but yeah,
Okay,
because
okay, so
after you have
I was,
surgery, it's natural to have a certain amount of swelling. So if you can help with the swelling, which is part of what the ice does, that may be of help to
yeah,
you. Like I said, I can't really give you medical advice like that since I'm not your doctor or a doctor, but I would think asking them about taking some anti-inflammatories that you can get over the counter. And of course, I don't know what other meds you might be on, so I would think a quick call to your doctor's office or your pharmacy maybe. They'd be able to give you, some real good advice, much more so than I can. But reducing the swelling, especially early on, seems to be the key for a lot of people.
so I wrote up,
Okay. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to call this morning, and I hope I was some help to you. I wish I could be more
yeah,
help,
you were.
but at least I hope we can point you in the right direction to find the answers you need. And
Thank,
I wish you every success.
thank you,
All right. You have a great day.
thank
Thanks
you.
again for calling. All right, gang. So, hey, that's why we're here. You got a problem? Uh, Here's my credentials. I'll take a break from what I was going to use as the topic. I'm trying to stay in a good center of the frame here for you. I was in the bad habit of sitting way off to one side. Um, I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. I share advice I've literally talked to thousands of people who have implants. I've been a chronic pain patient for over a decade. I've had injections, ablations, got the spinal cord stimulator. I've had a cervical fusion. If you really care about my medical history and all that, hey, good morning, Trish. If you really care about my medical history and stuff, let me know. Just say medical history. Leave me a comment if you really care to hear about it, and I'll repost some videos I've made in the past. Excuse me 1 second. All right. Um, I really appreciate getting the call. Uh, I hope she can get some help with those issues. Um, it breaks my heart as a success story myself. It absolutely breaks my heart when I hear about people having tough complications for their implants, or worse yet, people who they simply don't work for. Uh, Everybody's spinal cord is different is my understanding, uh, and created differently while we're still in utero when it's forming. So for some people, they just can't seem to get it to work. But sounds like she had a good trial. Hopefully, we can get her over these difficulties and these challenges to get her some great results. So um, I'm going to get back to the topic for the day, which if you can get gratitude, if you look, I was talking about Gary V. And yeah, I know this is kind of a rough transition. It's a one-man show. I'm out here trying to be a light in dark places, as they say. If you've got a phone, if you're able to view this, maybe just being grateful for that. If you're in a first world situation, if you don't have to walk hours to get water, if you live indoors, if you eat on a regular basis, and I know these things sound really basic, but sometimes when you're at a low point, you've got to start at some very basic things to find something to be grateful for. I get it. Um, I kind of view life as I was saying before the call came in that we all have a purpose. Um, and I kind of look at it. I used to play like Duke Nukem and other video games where you had a objective. Um, yeah, there was lots of shooting going on, but you had an objective to accomplish, not just blasting everything in sight. And you always had to find a key card or a key or a way to get to the next level or advance, and you had to figure it out. There was something you had to accomplish to move on. And when my pain has been at my worst, especially before I got my implant, um, I really spent time praying to God that I would see my purpose, fulfill my purpose so I could move on. I was tired of life. I was tired of being here. I was tired of being in pain every day, and I just wanted it to be done. So I get it. Okay, I'm not making light of your situation. Um, One of the things I focused on, even at my worst, I never had to crawl to the bathroom. Now, I've had people tell me, "Man, that's setting the bar really low. I don't think that's a good." Hey, I know people who have had to crawl to the bathroom. I know people who are in a situation where they can't. Hey, good morning. Got a couple more people logging in. Um, I know people who've had to get to the point where they've had to crawl to the bathroom. I know people who have gotten to the point they couldn't get out of bed to use the bathroom. Okay. Um, So yeah, maybe you think that's setting the bar really low, and to be grateful that I didn't have to crawl to take a pee doesn't work for you. But hey, you have to find things to be grateful for in your life. I think another thing that we all get caught up in is how things would have turned out differently. Um, we always, it's tough to have gratitude um, when you're constantly fixated on if I'd have done this, if I'd have bought Apple stock in 1995 or whatever, or if I'd have done this differently or that differently. Um, we don't know what the woulda is. We don't know how it woulda turned out. That's the term I use, woulda. Okay, I'll give you a quick example from my own life because that's what I try to do. I try to give you testimony, like I said, of what's worked for me, what I've been through, and examples from my own life. I'm not going to bother to show you my scar. I've got 4 titanium screws and 12 sets of anchored sutures in my right shoulder. In short, I tore the 2 bones off, or the 2 tendons off the bone in the back of my rotator cuff. I was out of work for 8 months because I was leaving work. I slipped on the ice and fell. I'm from Minnesota. We get ice in the extreme up there. Um, you know, uh, we were because of the weather, we were overstaffed. My boss asked me 3 times, "Hey man, you want to take an early out and go home early since there's nobody really here to deal to?" Because I was a casino dealer. He felt bad for quite a long time afterwards because he let me go home. I decided to go home. Uh, 5 minutes later, he hears the call come over the radio to security that I'd fallen in the parking lot. Now, it took me some time to get over the why me. We're all who have chronic pain and chronic illnesses are familiar with the why me. The it's not fair, and it's not fair. I'm not going to lie to you. But I don't know. I can complain and focus on this happened to me. I wish it hadn't happened. But I don't know what woulda happened. If I would have made it to my car on this very icy night and got onto the freeway, for all I know, I would have got hit by a semi and killed. I could have crashed and gone into the ditch. I could have spent hours in the ditch in the cold, um, waiting for somebody to find my car. These things do happen, especially in Minnesota and other states that get severe winter weather. You don't know what woulda, and you don't know how many times we miss catastrophe by that much. Okay? A simple example from everyday life. You're mad because you didn't make the green light and you're stuck at the red, but maybe if you made the green light 3 intersections from now, you got hit by a dump truck. Okay? We don't know what really would have happened. We have a habit of thinking if we'd have done something different, we would have had a better result. But you don't know that, and you never can know that. And it's really easy to get stuck in that regret and remorse, and I think it blocks you up and bunches you up. Um, Being angry, it's hard to be. Here's the thing: the flip side of gratitude seems to be anger. And I'm going to put up a bunch of links because I really found a lot of interesting articles about uh, both gratitude and forgiveness from places like the Mayo Clinic, which really kind of surprised me that they had an article up on that topic. Psychology Today. I'm going to put them up after the show because I don't want to make you sit here while I slowly punt and peck type. Uh, let's see. I've got a. Yeah, friends dropping you is actually something on my list, so I'm going to get to that. Haha, it's a teaser. Get you to hang in there. Um, for anger seems to be the opposite. You can't have gratitude and anger at the same time. Um, you know, maybe you have to go for gratitude to simply realize that a lot of good things that happen to you come from outside of yourself and things that aren't uh, you're doing. Hey, if you turn on the faucet and you got running water, somebody's making that happen. You know, like I said, I'm not making light of the situation. I've been fortunate enough to work with people from all over the globe and immigrants from all corners of the globe. And I know people who had to walk hours to get water. I know people who faced real starvation. I've and it's really been my privilege, and I think that has helped mold my perspective and help me achieve an attitude of gratitude. I know that's clever bumper sticker sounding, but that is really what it comes down to. Again, like I said, I happen to be a Christian, so I've always tried to practice gratitude. I've gotten a lot better at it since I've been ill. I ain't gonna lie. It's something that I've definitely grown in my capacity for gratitude. Um, I don't believe you have to have, excuse me, I don't believe you have to be a Christian, have gratitude or practice gratitude. I don't believe you even have to be religious. Um, but I think it helps. um, and I'm not here to try and convert you or convince you what to believe in, but the science tells us that you can't be angry when you're also being grateful. Okay, and there are real, measurable negative effects to being angry. Um, Again, on the Mayo site, it talked about uh, walking around in anger, being angry, resentful, all that negative emotion that you can carry with you. It makes your blood pressure suffer. It's bad for your blood pressure. It increases your anxiety. It drives depression, which is something those of us who have chronic pain are at danger for anyway, because the isolation that many of us experience can seriously lead to depression, which obviously can lead to very dark places, including suicide. Trying to get people to reach out and network and feel like they're not alone and not isolated, especially in this age where digitally we can reach out and communicate with each other like I'm doing today, was really one of the founding reasons why I even started this show. Um, it also suppresses your immune system. Okay. Uh, Now people talk about, oh, I go into a psychologist or whatever, and or they're getting their pain meds removed or reduced, and they're trying to send you to some kind of counselor or whatever to try and that like that's going to fix your pain. Again, I touched on this earlier. I am not even going to pretend that it's going to fix you. It's going to change your condition. It's not going to make your pain go away. But science does suggest, if not prove, that when you are angry, when you are stressed, your body makes adrenaline, your body makes cortisol. Cortisol, and specifically, has an inflammatory process. So, yes, it can make your pain worse. It may just be the cherry on the sundae, but it's not probably the major cause of your pain if you've got chronic pain. But any little benefit we can get, right? Any tool like Batman, any tool on the belt that helps me in a situation. So if that means I've got to try and avoid cortisol, um, then I'm all about that. I know. Here's a little irony, and again, from my own life. Um, I used to be very temperamental. God forbid the guy at McDonald's burned my fries. I would give him a tongue lashing. I was just mean spirited a lot of the time, and I'm not proud of that, but I am being real. Okay. And I prayed about that a lot because I didn't want to be that way. I didn't know how to quit being that way. And I prayed on it and prayed on it. And guess what? These days, with my particular set of conditions, if I get pissed off, stressed out, and all worked up, it drives my pain level higher. So it now literally hurts me physically to get upset emotionally. This is me, something I go through, this is something I've noticed in my life. Okay, I'm not, again, saying this is going to fix you. Okay, so it's amazing to me how mellow, how relaxed, how appreciative I've become when getting pissed off physically hurts me. So I guess I believe prayers get answered, just usually not in the way that we would imagine. Um, I think also part of having gratitude and not being trapped by stress and the anxiety is to try and live in the moment, try to let go of our past, and I've got some tips on that. Uh, and the links I plan to post also talk about it. Letting go of your anger, letting go of the past is huge. It's a struggle. It's not the answer for everyone. There's certain people. Even this morning, I was reading about some abuse victims. That doesn't, forgiveness is not a path that works for them. I get it. Again, everybody's different. I'm just telling you my story, what's worked for me. Um, when I talk about being present in the moment, this doesn't have to be a big thing. Excuse me, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I feel like I got the lip goo this morning. Okay. Little things become habits. Habits change the way you behave. Most of what we do is habit. It's not well thought out things. We're programmed over time to have certain responses to certain situations. So when you check out at Walmart, maybe there's only, hey, it's Walmart. There's two registers open. You don't want to check out your own stuff because you don't work for Walmart, okay? So you stand in the line and you're trying to get upset. Maybe you focus on some things while you're in line uh, that bring you joy, things that are happy for you, things that you appreciate, because hey, you're the 450th crabby person that the cashier has dealt with. Okay, maybe you take a moment, be grateful that you are in the middle of a store full of food. Okay, again, we all get caught up in our first world problems. When you tell them thanks, when they hopefully thank you for shopping at Walmart or whatever, wherever you're doing business, and you thank the person who helps you, and this isn't just in commerce, take a moment, look them in the eye, really be present. Don't, yeah, thanks while you're putting your stuff together and you're looking to get out. I get it. We're busy. Your pain level's high. You want to get to the car, get home. I get it. Okay. But try and practice it because you get better at it with practice. Take a second, be present with the person, and sincerely thank you for doing this. Okay. I try and exercise this in my marriage. Haha, guys, got a marriage tip for you, ladies, too. Okay. Now, for instance, my wife does the laundry, not because it's women's work, not because I'm not capable of doing laundry. I was a successful bachelor and did my own laundry for years. My wife doesn't like the way I do the laundry. Okay. So she said, look, I'll do the laundry. So I don't know if she folds the towels in some magic method or what. She doesn't like the way I do the laundry. Whenever I see clean clothes in the drawer or I happen to notice she's doing laundry, I take a moment and say, hey, honey, thanks for washing the clothes. Another thing, due to my fine motor skills being for shit, due to my conditions, I can't hang on to anything, especially anything that's slippery. So I don't do dishes anymore. My wife likes to wash the dishes by hand, even though we have a dishwasher. I don't know why. She's a freak that way. I think it gives her a sense of accomplishment. I don't wash the dishes. I've been told, look, you've broke too much stuff. Don't even try to wash the dishes. So if she's washing the dishes, I take a moment to tell her, thank you for washing the dishes. Try not to take an entitled, self important attitude and appreciate the little things other people do for you. And take a moment to really feel appreciative for them doing it and set up the pattern and practice being grateful. Um, which leads me right into my next point is you need to you don't need to you can create new pathways in your brain. I believe it was called neuroplasticity, which is a fancy way of saying that you create new pathways in your brain with the things that you focus on and do on a regular basis. You probably know your phone number. You probably know your wife's middle name or your spouse's middle name. You probably know your birth date. You can you can recite them without thinking about them. If I ask you to excuse me to explain something to me you don't think about all the time, uh, you might have to stop and think about it or find it. We've all had the situation where something's on the tip of our tongue, but we can't quite express it because we can't find that neural pathway in your brain. Doing research for this show, I found out that you can create new pathways in your brain. Neuroplasticity. Cool word, but that's all it really means. It's creating new pathways. Um, it takes 3 minutes a day 45 days. Oh, 45 days. Yeah, well, if you start working out your physical body and you want to see changes, you're not going to go to the gym and see a change on the scale or the way your clothes fit in a week. God knows I wish that were true, but it's not. Okay, it takes time and it takes some dedication if you want to make improvements to yourself in any realm. Um, check in the chat just real quick. Yeah, spouses who both have, James is talking about his wife has fibromyalgia. That's a bitch of an illness, and quite frankly, and yeah, understanding and gratitude and appreciation, uh, you know, goes a long way. My wife made a request to me when we first found out what was going on with my health. She says, I hope you don't get bitter and constantly angry because it's one thing to be sick and it's another to be bitter. that was very moving and whatnot for me. But I want to talk about creating these new network and pathways in your brain. Uh, like I said, it's 3 minutes a day, okay? So it's a hell of a lot easier than going to the gym or working out. 3 minutes a day, and if you can't do 3 minutes at a stretch, they say 3 1-minute sessions a day. Again, 45 days is what it takes to create the pathways. So, it's going to be a chore. It's going to be something you have to keep at. But with everything in life, uh, if you want to make changes to yourself, it takes time, it takes effort, right? And a lot of times in life, you get out of it what you put into it. Um, the three keys are they first suggest breathing, okay? Some deep cleansing breaths. If you study any religions and philosophies from the East or maybe yoga, the importance of breathing, it can change your mindset. It helps change your body chemistry, oxygenates your blood. Oxygen's good for your cells. Okay, it's a healthy thing all the way around, probably, to practice some good deep breathing. Spend a minute or so doing that. Then the thing that you really need to do is not just think about being grateful, they suggest that you emote being grateful. Here's what they mean by that. Rather than just thinking about, I'm glad I have clean water and I'm glad I have indoor plumbing, okay? Really think about something you're grateful for, reminisce on it, go back and live that moment and experience the feeling that you had when somebody did something for you or to you that you're grateful for. Uh, Not just intellectually thinking about it, but getting emotionally involved in it and really feeling that moment again um, seems to be a key. And then the other thing they suggest to help with this, and again, you're spending a minute 3 times a day, 3 minutes a day, however you want to block it up. Um, they talk about prayers and blessings, maybe thoughts and prayers, whatever your faith dictates to you or whatever you happen to believe in. If you don't believe in anything, you're probably not even watching me because I just don't know anybody that doesn't believe in any kind of energy or power beyond themselves. Pick some people who have been a blessing to you and just think about them in a positive light, okay? Whether you pray, whether you wish good things on them, whether you try and send them good vibes, whatever. Um, those are really the big topics. Again, if you want to hear more about some of this stuff, if you've got suggestions for topic, feel free to put them in the comments. I got to shift around here a little bit because I've already been on longer than I'm usually accustomed to. Uh, but we're going to power through for you guys. And I'm sorry I'm so close to the mic or so close to the camera. Uh, I'm trying to stay in the frame as best I can. So, um, all right. So we've talked about gratitude. It fights anger, makes you feel better, makes other people around you feel better. It does good things for you all the way around, mentally, physically, and it's something you can get better at and something you can practice, something you can create pathways in your brain to change your outlook. Okay, glass half full, glass half empty. Okay, that's something that you, to a point, have some control over in your life. Um, Next, we're going to come to something that's harder because being grateful, practicing gratitude, thinking about being, things, those are relatively easy because they only involve you, forgiveness, bearing a grudge, staying angry at somebody, plotting revenge, scheming and hating somebody. Uh, it becomes its own prison. I'm checking my notes here. Um, you know, um, Look, you don't have enough time and you don't have the ability to fix or deal with everybody who's hurt you, everybody who all the bad people in the world, all the people who have done you harm. Okay, you don't have enough time in the day to possibly deal with every slight that you go through. Okay, you're a human. Other humans are human. You screw up, they screw up. I'll save you a lot of angst. Everybody you know is going to disappoint you at some time or another because they're human and because you have expectations. Okay, if you could lower your expectations, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. If you can give without the expect of receiving, otherwise it's not really giving, it's a business transaction. If you're doing something for somebody in hopes that they're going to do something for you, that's really not being generous. That's just conducting business in some perverse way. Um, but you just don't have enough time. And it's dangerous to you for all the reasons we talked about, the adrenaline, the cortisol. It does bad things to your person, to your body, when you bear a grudge and focus on all these, for lack of a better term, dark emotions. Resist the dark side, right? Um, and it keeps you trapped in the past. Okay, if you can't get over something that somebody did for you or didn't do for you, you are trapped back there. And if you focus on that all the time, guess what? You're creating neural pathways connected to that event. You are stuck essentially back in that situation over and over, and you can't move past it. I get it. Some things are more difficult to move past than others. Some people are more difficult to give than others. Um, and here's what I'm going to tell you is in my experience, the most difficult people to forgive are those who do not have remorse, regret. They don't apologize. They are indifferent to what they did to you or didn't do for you. Okay. Um, quick thing back to gratitude. Your caretakers, if you can look at them and really express your gratitude, it goes a long, long way for your caretakers, for those of us who have them. My wife is my primary caretaker, and I try to, as much as it sucks for me to not be able to do things, it sucks for her to watch me struggle and go through what I do. I've been through that from her perspective. When you have a loved one who's sick and there ain't nothing you can do about it and they're struggling or they can't do things, that's its own cross to bear, for lack of a better term. So if you can, you know, I've talked also that when your loved one, sometimes they'll get frustrated with you because you can't do something. Again, if you can not get mad, not get angry, not let the negative emotion come into it. There's times I have to remind my wife, yes, I know it's an inconvenience. It sucks that I can't drive home from dinner because that was always kind of our contract. She would drive us there because I'd smoke a joint at home. Okay. She'd have a few glasses of wine with dinner. By the time dinner was over, I was sober and I could drive home. I don't drive anymore. It sucks for her because she can't have a couple glasses of wine with dinner unless we Uber or take a cab. There's times I have to remind her politely and nicely that as bad as it sucks for you, not being able to drive also really sucks for me. Okay. So, but yeah, those bastards who are unrepentant, they don't care that they hurt you. It's tough. It's hard. The closer somebody is to you, the more they mean to you, the more difficult it is to practice forgiveness towards them. Because, damn it, I love them. They're not giving me what I want back. They're not loving me the way I love them. They're not treating me the way I think I would treat them. Um, just checking the chat here real quick, make sure I don't. Thanks, James. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of the show. Um, it's frustrating. I think also a good tool is to examine why you are mad or resentful at somebody. A lot of times it has that they don't live up to expectations you had about them, or what they don't do what you think they should do, so you get mad. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Um, now, the last thing I'm going to talk to about along the lines of gratitude and forgiveness. because I am really, as you can probably tell, getting a little squirmy in my chair. Maybe I'll have to revisit this again. If you'd really like to hear me talk more about this, or if you have some of these particular breakdown topics that you want me to address again on another show, feel free to leave a comment. Um, while I'm at it, I might as well mention if you throw me a like or whatever, any interaction with the video helps other people who need to see this information uh, find it. So help me out with the rankings. Um, at the end of the day, a lot of times there's people who have slighted you, that you're bearing a grudge. You know, you might have a teeth gritting, pissed off grudge of hating on somebody. They don't even know. They don't even care. Maybe if they did know, they still wouldn't care. Okay? Bearing a grudge and staying angry at somebody is a lot like drinking poison, expecting that the other person's going to die. Okay? Forgiveness, you don't do it for them. You do it for you. Because the hatred, the anger, all of that is just, it's detrimental to you. They don't care. They're off doing what they do. They're living their life. They don't give a shit, okay? In a lot of cases, let's be honest. A lot of people who have hurt you, done you wrong, either don't know it or don't care, okay? So the only thing you're doing is giving them free rent in your head and putting the energy into hating them, being angry at them, carrying that grudge around like a bag of bricks, okay? So you don't forgive them for them. You forgive them and practice forgiveness for you. Okay? Now, before I go, one last thing. There's one person above all others, the hardest to forgive. It's the greatest challenge. It's the most difficult. It seems like it's the least rewarding, and that's yourself. I see a lot of people, especially chronic pain patients, have this sense of guilt. They feel guilty. They feel like a failure, like somehow it's their fault. Like, and I don't have the cure for that for you, but I will ask you to consider this. The example I often give when people are talking about they feel guilty because they can't be the spouse they want to, or they don't earn an income like they used, or they can't be the parent they want to. It, I just, I get it. I live it. And as you can tell, it's tough to talk about because it's very real. I try to keep this. Would you feel bad about any of these things if you had something like cancer? Okay, let's face it, we all know you got cancer. You could have cancer of your left pinky toe and it's completely curable, and people will stop the clock, shit stops. Oh my God, Deb at work, she's got cancer. Even if it's toe cancer, she's got cancer. You got chronic pain. A lot of people don't have no sympathy for you, and I think we bring that and internalize that because everybody's had pain, and until you have chronic pain, you don't understand it. And going back to the caregivers and our loved ones in your family, you need to forgive them for not understanding because they're not capable of understanding, okay? Living with chronic pain, it's a lot like birth of a child, death of a parent, getting married, until you maybe getting divorced, until you've been through it, you do not know. You can't completely understand. So you've got to forgive and cut them some slack. Okay? Forgiving yourself falls in that same category. Okay? If you've got an illness, you've got an illness. You didn't ask for it. You probably didn't do anything to bring it on. You're doing the best you can. And completely ganging up on yourself because nobody talks to you as much as you talk to you goes back. all the negative problems that I've talked about today. I see people who feel guilty when they take a pain medication. Well, my buddy James, who I love dearly, he's diabetic. He doesn't feel guilty about taking his insulin so he can live and function. My friends, I have to take blood pressure meds. I don't feel guilty taking blood pressure meds so that I don't have a heart attack, knock wood and hope. That, why do you feel guilty about taking medications for pain? Why do a lot of people talk about feeling guilty taking head meds, and I don't mean that to be offensive. Okay, I use as a blanket for all the different medications for people who have emotional and chemical imbalances. If I'm taking medication for my heart, I'm taking heart meds. If it's for my kidneys, it's my kidney meds. If you're taking head meds, I mean no offense. Okay, don't take it as a negative thing. It's simply a nice, easy blanket term. You know, if you need medication to function, why do you feel guilty about it? Maybe that's something you need to talk about with your doctor. Maybe you need to examine it for yourself. Um, but yeah, forgiving yourself is one of the biggest and most difficult things there is to do. Yeah, it's the hardest. And for a lot of us, there's no cure. A lot of people they get mad at the medical community. Why don't they have a cure for this? Well, not everything can be cured. My in-laws, I love them. They're very wonderful, generous people. Okay, but for quite a while they were caught up in there has to be something they can do. Well, no, we've done when the guys at the Mayo Clinic have a board meeting basically with a half a dozen people and they don't have anything left to offer you to some degree, that's the end of the road. So, like I said, uh, forgiving yourself, self hatred, self loathing, anger towards yourself is only going to make your situation more difficult to endure. So, speaking of enduring, I am way past where I'm comfortable sitting. So I'm going to have to get off the air. So before I do, I want to say thank you very much for checking this out. I want to thank the caller from this morning. Even though I wasn't able to be as much help as I wish I could to her, I want to thank those of you who tuned in live. I am on every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And if you're watching in replay, I want to thank you also. I try to provide some good content. And if you would leave a comment or a thumbs up, I would really personally appreciate it. It lets me know that I'm not just screaming into the dark, and it helps me understand what people want to hear and how I can help you. So, with that, I'm going to quit babbling. I call myself Joseph of Borg. I thank you very much. I'm honored that you would bless me with your time and attention. I hope you found some benefit from this morning's show. And with that, I am out of here.